Part 64. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 631. Chapter 631 The Poor Second Uncle's Family. Bai Jifang discussed with the police. Don't worry, this is a letter of introduction issued by our village. This is my biological niece. I will vouch for the remaining 2 children. I can ask the village chief to also vouch for them. The children will live in our house first. Waiting for the children after the father sends a letter of introduction and certificate, we will return the child to his father. Don't worry, our 2 families know each other and are relatives. Leave these 2 children to me. Don't worry, even if something happens to me, I can't let anything happen to my children. With the village chief and village party secretary as guarantees, Bai Jifang brought Bai Yi and glutinous rice and Baizai back to the village. You can't let the children stay at the police station, nor can they go to the welfare home. Bai Yi is unwilling to be separated from the glutinous rice and steamed buns. Fortunately, the police knew that their parents knew each other, so they were accommodating. After all, they had the village chief and village party secretary guaranteeing them. This kind of guarantee is already a great favor. In this age where everything depends on letters of introduction when traveling, this guarantee is quite reliable. Bai Yi and Baizai Tangyuan followed their second uncle home. Zhonglei also returned to the village with them. He had no choice but to play the role of both uncle and brother, so he could only play the role of protecting the children. The brother-in-law entrusted these 3 children to him. If he didn't protect them well and something went wrong, he would be sorry for his brother-in-law. The whole family returned to the village on a tractor. Their village is not bad, at least it has a flat area. Even though it is a dirt road, a tractor can really drive into the village. Zhonglei was shaken so much that his waist and back hurt. When he arrived at the village, he quickly jumped off the tractor and took the 3 children off. Looking at Baizai, who was holding his and grinning, Zhonglei felt a chestnut on his forehead. It's just the flesh of your body, and you're still grinning, that's why my uncle's hurts. Baizai muttered, you will bully me. As soon as Tangyuan heard this, he stood in front of Baizai boldly. Uncle, why are you bullying Baizai? He is my eldest brother. If it weren't for him, we would be finished this time. If you bully him, you are bullying me. I will sue my mother. Zhonglei took Tangyuan's neck to one side and said, you're still complaining. What are you complaining about? Just wait until you get beaten on the butt. Do you know that you made your mother so anxious? Your mother is so dizzy that she is lying on the bed now. Just can't get up. You unfilial son, you still have the nerve to tell me to complain to your mother. Tangyuan wilted as soon as he heard this. Uncle, how is Mom? Mom is not feeling better at all. I really didn't mean to make Mom angry. Baizai lowered his head, he seemed to have done something bad. It's okay if it's not intentional, it can kill people if it's not intentional. Zhonglei was speechless. What was the use of talking to a 2-year-old kid? He might not understand at all. I am really crazy. Baizai thought in a low mood that his mother was usually a very energetic person, but she was not feeling well right now while pregnant with the child. Now that the 3 of them are making such a fuss, my mother must be sick. Seeing Zhonglei reprimanding the children, Bai Jifang came to the rescue. It's not my own children's fault. Now that 2 such children were scolded, Bai Jifang gave Bai Yi a look. Bai Yi blushed and pulled the glutinous rice dumplings in. Bai Jifang greeted several people into the house. Come on, come on, come on, come on in. Qifen hurriedly poured water for them, feeling a little embarrassed. Their family was considered poor in the village. They had many children and a heavy burden, so they didn't build a brick house. It is still a house made of earth. But fortunately, the house is quite spacious with 5 rooms. Zhonglei and the others entered the house, and the 5 children were so crowded that they looked at them curiously through the window. Zhang took a look at the bare-walled house. The New Year paintings on the Kong were probably many years old, with mottled khaki rain marks. The bedding on the Kong looked old and patched. The paint on the two red Kong cabinets has fallen off, which makes people sad to see. The house smelled musty because of the rain and exposure. Qifen came in with two big bowls in embarrassment, followed by her two sons. Each person carries a bowl. I'm sorry, there is no sugar at home, so you can make do with it and ask his father to buy some from the supply and marketing cooperative in the afternoon. Zhang hasn't encountered this kind of sugar water to entertain people for a long time. They no longer use sugar water to entertain guests, they only serve tea. But you can tell by looking around that even sugar is a luxury item in this house. I sighed in my heart, Bai Yi's second uncle's family was so poor. No need, we usually drink boiled water, we can't drink sugar water, so you really don't have to bother, right? This is Bai Yi's second uncle. I hope the child knows what this means. Bai Yi lowered her head to hide the embarrassment in her eyes. She did not expect that her second uncle's family was so poor. The second uncle in my heart always reports good things but not bad things. She said they were living a good life, and she also thought they were living a good life. I didn't expect that everything was a lie. The second uncle, second aunt, and brother and sister are obviously not doing well. What if I had known earlier? What would have happened if I had known earlier? Bai Yi herself is still a child and has no awareness of making money. Making money is far away from her, but there is no time when she clearly realizes that she needs to re-recognize the world. It was not the warmth, kindness, and beauty in her eyes. No, we don't like drinking sugar water, so who would drink sugar water now? The disdainful tone made Qifen breathe a sigh of relief. It costs 50 cents to buy sugar. The family doesn't have much money, and they still have to save it to pay for their children's school fees. The family has not yet paid the land payment for their own land. Money is needed everywhere. Because they cannot afford to pay, their family is now one of the few in the village that still lights kerosene lamps. Can't afford the electricity bill. Now if you can do it without spending money, don't spend money. I want to drink the glutinous rice myself. He likes to drink sugar water the most, but his parents won't let him drink it at home. Now that his parents are no longer around, he can drink with open stomach. As soon as he opened his mouth, Baizai took out a piece of candy from his pocket and gave it to him. Your. Tang Yuan instantly forgot what he was going to say and happily stuffed a piece of candy into his mouth. Sister-in-law, don't be busy, we're not here to cause you any trouble, just treat us as your own family, don't be polite. Zhang Lei is afraid of causing a burden to others. Qifen greeted with a smile, you're welcome, no trouble, come here, it's not too late for us to welcome you. Yi has never been back. Your father grew up here when he was a child. I will cook for you. You sit down. It's already noon, so I can't entertain the guests without cooking. Bai Jifang just went to cut meat, and he didn't know if he could buy meat. They are preparing to make dumplings. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 632. Chapter 632, Unfashionable Relatives. Baizai and glutinous rice took Bai Yi out. Auntie, let's go buy something delicious. Tang Yuan took a look at the four tails hiding behind the door. Bai Yi was surprised, what do you want to eat? There is nothing good here. The canned bread you want to eat is not available here at all. Although Tang Yuan loves to eat, he will never ask for anything randomly. Tang Yuan pouted her mouth. Sister, I want to eat candy. Xiaolan, don't be ridiculous, he is a child from the city and a member of our family, be careful, our dad will beat you if he knows you are greedy again. Don't talk about her, even I drooled when I saw that toffee. We can eat a piece of fruit candy during the Chinese New Year all year round. How can Sister Yi live a good life in the city? Stop talking, It's not easy for Sister Yi, even her parents don't want her. If I give you milk candy, don't you want our parents? That's not possible, I don't want toffee anymore. You're so good, Xiaolan, we must have some backbone. Tang Yuan vividly imitated the words of the fourth sister and brother, and Bai Yi felt sad. Yes. She is a child that neither her parents want. If it weren't for Zhang Xiaoxiao, I would actually be the same as my sister and brother. Let's go to the small shop. Baizai holds his mouth, they are more pitiful than him. Should we pity him? Never mind. That's Bai Yi's family, so I can't hurt others too much. Mom said, my aunt is one of my own. My aunt is a pitiful person just like me. Brother Qiuqing, show us the way. Tang Yuan wants to buy something to eat, he is hungry. None of them knew the way. Bai Yi shouted. National Day walked out from behind the wall, with a look of embarrassment on his face. Yi, why don't you wait a while? My mother said to eat dumplings for lunch today, don't spend too much money. There is nothing delicious in the snack shop. He can say that he doesn't want to spend money. The family is short of money. He doesn't want his younger siblings to be unable to go to school. Tang Yuan made a serious face, no. I'm going. Baizai pinched the nose of Tang Yuan, this kid is great at acting. More powerful than myself. Auntie, we are going. Performed the role of an arrogant little fat man firmly. Brother Qiuqing, please take us to see it. Bai Yi rolled her eyes, these two are now deliberately acting like spoiled brats. Bai Qiuqing had no choice, just wait for me, I'll be right back. Run over quickly and tell Qifen. Qifen was making dough. When she heard this, she took out 2 yuan bills from her pocket even though she was embarrassed. This is already a lot. Bai Qiuqing took it over distressedly. Put it in your pocket. Took Bai Yi and the others to the small store. The small shops in the village really don't have any good stuff. Bai Qiuqing looked at the glutinous rice with distress and took 2 kilograms of glutinous rice sticks, 2 kilograms of sugar, 2 packets of fruit candies, and a large bag of rice cakes. He didn't know how much these things cost, but he had a feeling that with the $2 in his pocket, he probably wouldn't have even a penny left. He might have to discuss it with Uncle Wang from the store, first. On credit. Wait for his parents to send the remaining money over. Uncle Wang smiled and placed the weighed things on the counter one by one. It's National Day, what kind of relative is this from your family? He looks like a kid from the city. He's not lenient at all when it comes to buying things. Bai Qiuqing's face burned with panic. People in the village had always been frugal, and no one was willing to buy things like this. Occasionally I go to the small shop to buy something when visiting relatives. On weekdays, if I go to the small shop to buy something, I usually buy oil, salt, soy sauce, and vinegar. This is my uncle's daughter, who came back from Kyoto. He couldn't say anything else. Uncle Wang immediately showed a surprised expression. He couldn't help but shake his head, feeling sorry for Bai Jifang and his wife. It is not easy for this couple to make money. Seeing how willing they are to entertain their relatives in the city, I am afraid that this relative will leave. Their family's life is even more difficult. Everything has been bought, Bai Qiuqing asked. Uncle Wang, how much is the total? He was secretly calculating in his heart, but even if he had a bad mind, he wouldn't be able to calculate so much at once. On weekdays, he got these snack cakes, glutinous rice sticks and other things from the store. A total of 3 yuan and 8. Bai Qiuqing no longer felt distressed at all, holding the $2 in his pocket ready to take them out. As expected, the children in the city just bought things like this, without knowing any calculation. When they bought so many things, they didn't know whether they could eat them. It's not a waste if you can't eat it. When I thought of this, I couldn't help but shake my head. I knew I would definitely be able to eat it. I didn't see those 2 little fat guys. With this kind of figure, he must have eaten too much good food on weekdays, otherwise how could he be so fat? Look at whose children in their village can raise such a chubby child. Even the son of the village chief's family has not grown so fat. Before Bai Kuoking could pay, a voice interrupted. Don't count the money yet, bring me 2 more bottles of soju. What's the best wine here? Zhonglei came in. Bai Kuoking almost fainted. He actually wants wine. It is still the best wine. He remembers that the best wine in their small shop costs 10 yuan a bottle. At that time, my father saw the village chief's house buying this wine and told his mother enviously when he came back. If he could open his stomach and drink the most expensive wine any time in his life, he would probably be happy. These 2 bottles of wine cost 20 yuan, plus these 38 yuan. That's all you spend on this day. His parents can only earn dozens of yuan a year, and this means they have spent all their money for the year. Bai Kuoking was so anxious that tears were about to burst out. The 15-year-old boy had anxious tears in his eyes, but he also knew that these were guests from the city. No matter what, they should treat them well. The problem was that their family did not have that much money at all. Uncle Wang paused and couldn't help but have a dark cloud on his face. The people in their village were simple. How had he ever seen such relatives visiting other people's homes? Aren't you just here to beat the autumn wind, or are you a city dweller? Looking like you are dressed in a human-like manner, you don't care much when you go to other people's homes. You choose the most expensive wine. This is not bullying. Placing 2 bottles of wine heavily on the counter. We don't have much good wine in the countryside, we only have this kind of shabu knives. Bai Kuoking nodded gratefully to Uncle Wang. Of course he knew that this kind of Shaodazi was the most expensive wine. What does the most expensive wine he has ever seen look like in the village chief's house? This kind of Shaodazi is the wine that ordinary people in their village drink, and a bottle costs about 80 cents. Zhonglei smiled and said, Uncle, don't fool me. I've seen it. Isn't there a bottle of Wulianjai? I know that Wulianjai. It costs more than 20 yuan. Give me 2 bottles of that wine. What does Zhonglei do? With sharp eyes, he doesn't know any wine. When my uncle used to work in a department store, he often went there for a walk. He still didn't know what good things were. There is actually Wulianjai hidden in this small place. I think it is the treasure of the store. Happily no one buys it, it's just a show. The main thing is that they are in a hurry when they come. If you are a little prepared, you can take a few bottles of Maotai from home when they come. That was what his uncle would move for his father every time he came over, and he would move 1 box at a time. In the words of my uncle, if you drink, drink something good and don't hurt your body. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 633. Chapter 633, The Fastidious City Dweller. Bai Kuoking was about to faint, and the young boy turned pale. Oh my God, he didn't expect that the most expensive wine in the village cost more than 20 yuan. It is estimated that even the village chief has never drunk this kind of wine. Such an expensive wine costs 2 bottles, no wonder the child was so frightened that he almost fainted. Uncle Wang is in a bit of a dilemma. I had good intentions to help the Bai family, but I didn't expect that people in the city know their stuff, and this place is so big. People can see it at a glance, so it's no wonder who asked me to put this kind of wine in the cabinet as a treasure of the store. Whoever comes, sometimes you can show off. At least the small shops in our village also have valuable things. He had no choice but to take out the 2 bottles of wine from the counter, as the treasure of his store was only 2 bottles. In my heart, I scolded the people in the city for 18 generations. The people in the city are really good at eating and drinking. Let's see if they have tricked the Bai family. After taking the things, Zhonglei looked at them again and remembered the cigarette basket with tobacco leaves and newspaper rolls in Bai Jifang's house. Give me 2 of the 2-headed phoenixes of this filter. By this time, Uncle Wang had become numb, and Bai Qiuqing no longer cared. His parents have already told him. It is said that the city native is a relative of Bai Yiyi's family. You must know that they have raised Bai Yiyi for so many years, and the food and drink they eat and drink are according to the city's standards. When they come to their home, they must treat her well. Even if you have to go bankrupt, you still have to make people feel as comfortable as at home. Otherwise, I would be sorry for keeping Bai Yiyi alive. Yeah, his dad thought it was just a talk, but now their family is really going bankrupt. Bai Qiuqing felt a little resentful. It was Bai Yiyi who was the popular drinker and enjoyed the treatment in the city. Why should his family commit such a crime? Probably because things have progressed to this point. No matter how much money is spent, Bai Qiuqing is no longer surprised. He secretly planned in his heart that in this case, he might as well wait until these people are sent away and tell his father that he dropped out of school and come back to help your father support the family. It is estimated that his father will have to borrow money again. When their family borrows a lot of debt and can't pay it back, what will he do if he doesn't help his father? He is the eldest son. Uncle, how much is the total? Quickly calculate it for me. Zhonglei glanced at the big boy standing next to him, who was almost up to his ears. What kind of expression did this boy have? My whole body was shaking a little, like chaff being sifted through a sieve. Could it be that I was frightened? The question is, what is there to be afraid of when the sky is clear and the sun is shining brightly? I didn't meet any dogs or anything along the way. Is it possible that I could still get scared while buying something in a small shop? Uncle Wang glanced at Bai Qiuqing sympathetically. Having such a relative in the stall is considered unlucky for the Bai family. A total of 59 yuan too. Even if Uncle Wang sympathizes with the Bai family, there is nothing he can do. This thing has to be sold, and he has to settle the accounts for what others want. He won't refuse to accept the money just to sympathize with the Bai family. Sympathize with others and you will have to pay a lot of debt. Before Bai Qiuqing opened his mouth, Zhonglei had already taken out a pile of $10, counted out 6 and handed them to Uncle Wang. Uncle, there is no need to look for the rest, you can look at the remaining items and get something suitable, just make up 60. Zhonglei had no intention of letting people spend this money lavishly. The main reason is that I know that this is Bai Yiyi's second uncle. Seeing how nervous the family is towards Bai Yiyi, one can know that the second uncle and second aunt are good people. That's why he planned to buy 2 cigarettes and 2 bottles of wine to thank his uncle and aunt. They hired tractors from all the way to the village to pick up the people, and they also had to vouch for them. They are an adult and their 3 children need food and shelter in other people's homes. This does not cost money everywhere. Even if a poor relative comes to visit, he can't be empty-handed. He has no choice. He didn't take anything when he came. Now he can only scrape by and buy some things from this small shop. Consider it as a gift that you brought to your door. Old Wang was shocked. Looking at the 6 large unity sheets that were handed over, I didn't react for a long time. Zhonglei is so depressed. It's not that he looks down on country people, but he thinks they are a bit dull and stupid. Is it possible that you don't even know how to collect money? If you can't collect money, what kind of small shop will you open? Uncle, you can charge me back. Zhonglei reminded the other party again. Uncle Wang woke up instantly, a smile appeared on his face. He hurriedly took the money and counted it tremblingly. Sure enough, there were 6 big unity cards. For the remaining 8 cents, I'll pack you 2 kilograms of salt, a bottle of soy sauce, and a bottle of vinegar. I'll also get you some other things to make up 60, what do you think? Uncle Wang felt so happy, even though he said he didn't buy these things for his family. But looking at the way he behaves as a city dweller, you can tell that he is an open-minded person. Definitely not the kind of person who harms relatives. It seems that what people want is the best thing, but they pay for it themselves. Besides, what is the general use of this thing? It is just a gift. She can ask for the best wine, so at first glance, this is a gift bought for the Bai family. People in this city are particular about it. Seeing that gifts are the best, it will spend 60 yuan for this time. Hey, why don't you have such a wealthy relative? Bai Qiuqing was dumbfounded. How could he let a city man pay for it? He opened his mouth hurriedly. Uncle, this won't work, this won't work. When you come to our house, we should be the ones entertaining you. How can you spend this money? Don't worry about this money. My parents will bring it to Uncle Wang when they get back. Take your things, let's go, you really don't have to pay. Even if he had 17 or 18 thoughts of complaining about others just now, they all disappeared now. Father has said that you should treat people well when they come. This is a guest, how can you make the guest pay? You, why are you being polite to me? This is Bai Yiyi's biological uncle. I am her biological brother. Logically speaking, I should also call your parents uncle and aunt. How can I come to your house empty-handed? Then that's rude. Besides, I am also greedy for cigarettes and wine, otherwise I would be able to buy such good things. I didn't buy this for your family, I bought it to satisfy my craving. How can you go to someone else's house and ask others to buy it if you want to smoke and drink? That's called being careless. Hurry up and get the things. The three little ones can't carry so many things. Let's go back quickly. Didn't your dad cut off the meat to make dumplings? I'll help your mom and dad make the dumplings when you get back. They're really good. Zhonglei picked up 2 bottles of wine and 2 cigarettes, and stuffed the rest into Bai Qiuqing's arms. Uncle, let's go, if we need anything else, we'll come back to you. Zhonglei said hello politely, and then asked a few kids to follow him. With him in charge, he must keep an eye on these little ones. If anything happens again, he will be sorry for Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding. Bai Yiyi put the roll of RMB back into his pocket. That's how the third brother is. She knows that the third brother has always been generous. Why should I be polite to my brother? End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 634. Chapter 634. Be ourselves. Bai Qiuqing's face flushed red along the way. He was ashamed because he always thought of others as someone else. They can support Bai Yiyi for free for 3 years. I heard that Bai Yiyi went to the best school in the city, and she was treated the same as her family members in terms of food and clothing. How could I miss her so much? Thinking that someone comes to their home and causes harm to their home, helping his family in return for their kindness. How could someone like me have such dirty thoughts? Look at how grand this person is. He doesn't spend a penny on anything he buys. And I bought so many things, I knew at a glance that they must be for my family. If only people could use so many. He really wished he could crawl through a crack in the ground. Back home, Bai Jifang came back a long time ago and bought meat. Now he is helping his wife chop stuffing in the kitchen. Through the window, I saw Zhonglei and others carrying a lot of things in large and small bags. He quickly put down the knife, wiped it with his hand on his apron, and called Zhonglei. I just said that there was no one in the yard when I came back, so you went to the small shop and bought something good. At a glance, I saw the cigarettes and wine in Zhonglei's hand, and my heart skipped a beat. It's not that he's afraid of spending money, he's afraid that Zhonglei bought it specifically for their family. These cigarettes and wine are good things from the small shop, and he would never buy them on ordinary days. When I am most greedy, I ask about the price and wonder when I can save enough money for such a bottle of wine. Second uncle, it's inappropriate for us to come to your house empty-handed. We are really in a hurry. You also know that we are looking for these 3 children. Otherwise, if I come to your house like this, my mother will definitely interrupt me. Legs. I can only buy you something casually in the small shop, which can be regarded as my own intention. In fact, to tell you the truth, I am greedy for wine. Zhonglei put the cigarettes and wine on the table, usually when visiting relatives for the New Year or festivals. That is, 2 bottles of wine and 1 pack of cigarettes. He has now bought 2 bottles of wine and 2 packs of cigarettes, which should be about the same. There should be no shortage of etiquette. Bai Qiuqing was a little ashamed and piled all the big bags in his arms on the table. This time it was better, their Kong table could not be placed at all, so in the end they could only place it on the Kong table, a pile full of them. Bai Jifang was anxious. This is not okay, this is not okay, we are all relatives, why are we making such false etiquette? How can we afford you to spend money so randomly? I can't accept this thing. Take this thing back to the small shop quickly, and follow Uncle Wan can still retreat after telling him. Bai Jifang is an honest person. His niece has lived with his family for 3 years. They have never sent money to his family. They have not asked his family for a penny. Just from this, you can know that he is a kind person. They can't push their noses in the face and rush to take advantage of others. And look at the cigarettes and wine that people buy, these are the most expensive. The kind of things that he would never dare to buy in a small store in his life, and if he brought them to their home, he would not be lucky enough to be able to afford such expensive wine. He is afraid that he will die prematurely if he drinks it. Zhonglei pressed Bai Jifang's hand. There are not many such a simple and honest person like him. Although my parents are honest people, they are still one level behind Bai Jifang. Looking at it made people's faces turn red all of a sudden. Second uncle, if you keep doing this, I won't be happy. No matter what, I will call you second uncle. Are you not going to recognize me as a relative? I am Bai Yi's brother. How can you talk to your uncle's family empty-handed? Come. Also, you can't send this back. I finally got to your place and I can smoke and drink freely. When I want to drink at home, my mother will be waiting for me with a stick. I can't drink at all while driving on weekdays. I finally got to your house to relax, but you can't disappoint me. By buying you a drink, I am actually satisfying myself. Zhonglei knew that Bai Jifang would be like this and had already thought of his words. How can Bai Jifang be the opponent of someone like Zhonglei? Bai Jifang, who spoke in a few words, could not help but nod his head in agreement. Bai Jifang returned to the kitchen silently and sighed. Qifen had already taken over his job of chopping stuffing. She saw her man sighing and was a little curious. She didn't see what happened just now, so she didn't know that she had just bought a lot of things. It means knowing that the eldest son of the family goes out with money to buy things for the 3 children. I don't know what I bought. I don't feel bad about the 2 yuan. This niece is quite pitiful. Her parents are not here, and they have not been able to feed the child for 3 years. If the child was raised in their home, let alone 2 yuan, even 20 yuan would have to be spent in the past 3 years. This child actually met a trafficker in order to come back. Just because the child was frightened, they, as uncles and aunts, should spend some money to buy something for the child to calm down the shock. After all, this child grew up in the city. The quality of life of other people is comparable to theirs. They only eat rice bran vegetables here, while others eat good food in the city. Just by looking at the dress that my niece is wearing and the small black leather shoes on her feet, you can tell that this child is living a good life in the city. That pair of shoes would probably cost dozens. Oh, the people in the Zhang family are so nice. You don't know. They just went out and spent dozens of dollars and bought a lot of things. It was cigarettes, wine, glutinous rice sticks, cakes, and fruit candies. Big pile. I asked the boss and he said it cost 60 You said that people come to our house and have helped us raise our niece and child for so many years, but they still have to spend money to come to our house. What do you think this is? Bai Jifang is an honest man. He feels sad and feels that he owes others. Qifen also felt uncomfortable. Yes, this is fate. What a good fate this niece has. Look at the noble person she met. Okay, people probably saw that our family's situation is not good, so they don't want to drag us down. It's only right for us to greet people openly and openly. Don't talk about those lies. We have no money, so you are no matter how much money you spend, it doesn't mean anything in the eyes of others. It's better to just be ourselves. Qifen is reasonable. Bai Jifang nodded, okay, let's just be ourselves. It's not shameful for us to be poor anyway. Zhang Lei was watching Tang Yuan'er and Xiao Beizai distributing things to several brothers and sisters in the room. Each of them stuffed a few pieces of candy in his pocket and stuffed glutinous rice sticks in his mouth. Several children had already become a group laughing and joking together. For them, this was better than the Chinese New Year. His family can't eat and drink so much during the Chinese New Year. Especially things like glutinous rice cakes, which are bought by adults in the family as gifts. Even if a relative came to bring a package of these things to their home, the parents would not dare to eat them and would keep them as gifts in return. If a gift is not given by this family, save it and send it to the next family. If the next family gives you a gift, keep it and send it back to the previous family. Where can I let them open their stomachs to eat? End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 635. Chapter 635 Dumplings with different fillings. The hot dumplings come out of the pot. For the Bai family, these dumplings are just a meal during the Chinese New Year. They can't eat dumplings even if they want to eat them on weekdays. How can they waste the white flour at home like this? Besides, even if you want to eat dumplings on weekdays, it's probably better to eat dumplings with vegetarian fillings. If you want to eat dumplings with meat fillings, you can only wait until the Chinese New Year. Moreover, New Year's dumplings are also made with more cabbage and less meat, unlike when entertaining guests with more meat and less cabbage. When you take a bite, it is full of oily meat flavor. The Kong table was placed on the table, but there were only Zhang Lei, Bai Jifang, Bai Yiyi, glutinous rice and steamed buns on the table. Qifen and the other 4 children didn't even get to the table. They are eating in the kitchen. There are actually 2 kinds of fillings for this dumpling. The stuffing with the most meat was naturally given to Zhang Lei and the others. The rest of the stuffing contained less meat and more vegetables, so it was eaten by their own family. Otherwise, how many kilograms of meat would we have to buy to have enough food? There are about 10 people in this family, large and small. If you want to eat with an open stomach, the children can hold at least more than 20 dumplings in their stomachs. Even 2 kilograms of meat can't taste meat at all. Zhang Lei knew what was going on at the first sight. There were 5 large plates of dumplings in front of them, piled high and full. You can tell what is going on at a glance. The filling of their dumplings is definitely different from the dumpling fillings of the children in the kitchen. My mother has done this before, and I didn't know about it when I was a child. He was once one of those children who squatted in the kitchen to eat dumplings with more vegetables and less meat. You must know that their family was not well off before, but as they grew up, life seemed to get better and better. Especially after my sister went to the countryside. I don't know why my sister became an educated youth, but my family's life became better and better. Maybe it's because Xiao Xiao is their family's blessing. As long as you have a relationship with Xiao Xiao, something good will happen. Looking at how I went to work in place of my father, I was doing so well. Even if I had a car accident, I would still find someone to help me. I have also been able to change my job. My current job is not only easier, but I also earn more. All this is not thanks to my sister. Second uncle, ask the aunt and children to come up and eat. If you divide the table into two, we won't be able to swallow these dumplings. Zhonglei spoke. Put down your chopsticks. Bai Jifang is embarrassed. How can he let the children come to the table? No. You've seen it, how can this Kong table be spread out? There can't be so many people sitting there. They can eat in the kitchen, which will save the fuss. You drink quickly. I'd like to offer you this drink, all the way. If it wasn't for our family Yi, these two children wouldn't have suffered such a big mistake. Bai Jifang wanted to fool him. Second uncle, if you don't go and call aunt, then I won't eat, and I won't drink this wine either. We are all a family, why are we so polite? We just want to have a lively meal together. Zhonglei stubbornly refused, and Bai Jifang had no choice but to call Qifen and the children from the kitchen, and everyone set the table. Qifen brought the dumplings over from the kitchen. Although they looked like several large plates of dumplings, it was obvious that these dumplings were not even on the top of the plate. On a mediocre plate, a child could only eat 8 or 9. Compared to their dumplings, it is simply a world of difference. The children were a bit cautious, so they naturally knew that they were from the city. Although they were said to be relatives, they had nothing to do with their family. Those dumplings are naturally for entertaining guests, and all they can eat are the few dumplings on the plate in front of them. Mother has already said that after finishing the dumplings on this plate, she will go to the kitchen to make dumpling soup. After eating 2 more steamed buns, she will definitely be full. They didn't even take a look at the large plates of dumplings in front of them. They just carefully picked up the dumplings on the plate in front of them. They ate each one with great treasure. For them, they could have a meaty meal. Dumplings are simply a treat. Don't look at the lack of meat. If there is less meat, it is still meat. Moreover, mother said that they must have a tutor and not look at the dumplings in front of others like starving ghosts. That would make outsiders look down upon you. Zhonglei couldn't help but praise, second uncle, these children in your family are all talented people. Look at how well you two have been taught, how sensible and polite they are. Bai Jifang is a bit embarrassed. What do you know, you're just a country kid, but you're just timid and don't dare to say anything. Come on, eat the dumplings quickly, eat quickly. These dumplings should be eaten while they are hot. They are delicious when you eat them in big bites. You can't be so cautious. Without saying a word, Zhonglei picked up a large plate of dumplings and scooped a few into each child's bowl. Of course, each child did not include steamed buns, glutinous rice, and Bai Yi. The 3 of them eat this dumpling a lot on weekdays. Especially Tang Yuan'er likes to eat meat, so the family can still afford his meat. Bai Jifang and Qifen didn't have time to react. The children's bowls had already been piled full by Zhonglei, and the bowls they were given were filled with the big meat dumplings in front of Zhonglei and the others. The couple suddenly became anxious. He hurriedly stopped, that's not possible, it can't be like this. The children have enough to eat. They have small appetites, so they will be full after just eating a few dumplings. If you don't believe me, ask them. It would be a waste to add so much to them. Bai Jifang himself blushed. He had never heard of this lie and was unwilling to eat dumplings. It's okay to have a small appetite, Uncle Second, it's the time when children are growing up. If you don't let them eat enough, they won't be able to grow taller or bigger. When the time comes, their bodies and bones will be bad. It won't be the children who will suffer in the future. This is wrong, no one can wrong the children even if they are wronged. Don't think I don't know there is something fishy in the stuffing of your dumplings. Zhonglei added a dumpling from the children's plates. It's good to take a bite, but you can only eat cabbage, but no meat at all. Bai Jifang blushed and sighed. It's because I, as a father, don't have the ability to let my children live a good life. The children did not dare to take off their chopsticks when they saw the dumplings in this bowl. Zhang greeted, "Eat quickly. The dumplings have all gone into your bowls. No one wants to eat them again, right? Eat quickly. When you're done, I'll pick them up for you. Today, our family has really improved life. There is no distinction between a guest and a guest. I am not a guest, but I am your brother. So brother has the final say, eat well and don't look at your parents." It took a few children to pick up the dumplings and bite them in one bite. The children's eyebrows were filled with joy. This is really a meat dumpling. Look at the big meat and bite it in one bite. There was a squeaking sound and oil and water were coming out. Bai Yi also put a dumpling in front of one of her brothers and sisters. After one bite, she burst into tears. The life of my second uncle's family is actually so hard. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 636. Chapter 636, Raising Long-Haired Rabbits. Zhang poured wine for Bai Jifang. "Second uncle, we are all our own people, and I won't hide some of the things I say. You also know how good the policies above are now. They have already encouraged everyone to work hard to get rich, and to reform and open up. How can your family still live like this? This is what is strange about Zhang Lei. If it was because he had not been guaranteed a household income before, then he would probably feel that his life was not good, and that was right. After all, every household is not doing much better. But now the household quota has been guaranteed for a long time, and looking at Bai Jifang and his wife, they are not the kind of people who are not hard-working. Since he is hard-working and capable and has good policies, it is a bit strange that his family can still live like this and cannot even afford to build a brick house." Bai Jifang sighed, "You don't know, no matter how hard-working and capable we are, it's useless. In fact, when you came to our village, you should have been able to see that the land around our village is actually smaller and more populated. The hundreds of households in the village can actually cultivate only a few hundred acres of farmland at most, and each household can only get 1 or 2 acres at most. Why is there so little land and so many people? I look around and see a flat plain. In theory, this kind of land should be fertile land. It's good land for growing crops, and it's better than the mountainous land. Zhang Lei is also strange. Looking at the vast plains, it should be fertile land. But, the land here next to the river bank is completely saline alkali land. No crops can be grown on this land at all, and whatever is planted will die. This kind of saline alkali land occupies at least thousands of acres, and the remaining land that can be cultivated is only a handful. Tell me, there are many people but little land. Each family has 1 or 2 acres of land. What is enough for them? After paying the public rations, what is left is just enough to fill one's own belly. How can there be any spare money?" Bai Jifang took a sip of ju and felt uncomfortable. "If that's the case, you might as well go out to work. During the slack period, a few people will go to the city to work together, and you can always find something to do. At least you can earn some money to support your family. The rich families in the village all go to work in the city. I also know that working in the city can make a lot of money, but neither of us can read a single person. We went to work in the city last year, and ended up being deceived. People like us who don't know anything dare not go out to work rashly. After all, we still have 3 children at home. If we can't get back the money after working for a year, how can these children go to school? Jifang is also a hard life for uneducated people like them. If they don't know a single word, they will be fooled if they go out to deceive others. They have no place to talk to others to reason with." Zhang Lei finally understood. Several children in the family, even the second sister with the lowest education, probably graduated from junior high school. Although I did not go to high school, I still graduated from junior high school. For them, it may be easy to go out and do something, but for Baijafang and Qifen, they don't know how to go out. It is indeed easy to be deceived by others. If you meet a shady boss and you can't get paid after working for a whole year, who would want to go out to work again? Hey, otherwise, you can do some side business in the village, raise chickens and rabbits or something like that. I have a friend who runs a rabbit farm and raises long-haired rabbits. When the rabbits grow big, the rabbit fur you can sell it for money, and rabbit skin can also be sold for money. It's really a treasure. Zhang Lei had his thoughts moved. After all, this is Bai Yi's uncle. If it can help make their family rich through hard work and improve their lives, of course they should help. No one else can help. It's hard to come up with an idea. Bai Jafang shook his head. No one in our village has ever raised long-haired rabbits. Who knows whether those things can be raised alive? There are several families in the village who raise chickens, but if they open a chicken farm, there are some people who have that thinking about it. All the chickens that opened a chicken farm died last year, and the family house had to be sold at a loss. We, as a couple, probably don't even have the money to buy rabbit seeds. Not to mention raising rabbits. Second uncle, don't sigh too much. If you really want to raise long-haired rabbits, I can help you find a connection. My friend raises long-haired rabbits very well, and his current rabbit farm is already very large. Raising more than 500 pairs of long-haired rabbits. The annual income is very considerable. That's an income of tens of thousands. If you really want to raise me, I will take you there. You can go and see how they raise you, and learn techniques from them. When the time comes, if you want to breed rabbits, I can ask him to give it to you on credit first. After you raise the money and sell the rabbits, I can settle the settlement for the rabbit seeds. Zhang Lei really wants to help. Qifen was moved. They didn't dare to raise chickens, pigs, and rabbits. It was not because they were technically incompetent. It's okay to raise a small amount, but once these farmed animals get sick, a large number of them will die. If someone specifically asks them to learn it, they will definitely be able to cultivate it, and they are very sure of it. Who doesn't want to make money? They both dream of getting rich. It's not because they don't have the ability. If Zhang Lei is willing to help, he can also help them learn technology. This is a good thing, something that is hard to find even with a lantern. His father, why don't you go and have a look? Bai Jafang was also moved. This matter won't trouble you too much. If they don't like it, forget it. I'm afraid that they don't want to spread this technology to others. This is what he said. There is a pig farmer in their village. The old Wang family relied on raising pigs, but after making money, the family built 6 large tile-roofed houses. Each of his 3 sons had a neatly built yard of a brick-tiled house, and he also married a new daughter-in-law. That was a family that people in the village envied. It's not that Lao Wang's family is very skillful in raising pigs. They are craftsmen in raising pigs and have their own family secret recipe to ensure that there is no swine fever, and they also raise the pigs to be fat and strong. There are people in the village who are close to Lao Wang's family, and they also want to learn from them, but Lao Wang's family is tight-lipped about it. This pig-raising technology is something that no one else can know. Except for the 3 sons, not even the daughter knows about it, but the old boss Wang said that this is a craft that is passed down from son to daughter. Relying on this craftsmanship, the 3 sons are guaranteed not to starve to death. Zhang Lei smiled and said, if you really want to learn, I guarantee that my friend can teach you carefully. As long as you study hard, I guarantee that you will become a big rabbit farmer when you come back. This friend of mine is in a village 500 miles away. If you raise rabbits there, you can't do anything with them. It's a matter of who takes away whose business. And if you raise rabbits in the future, this kind of rabbits will always ask him to buy them, and they will also bring him business. Don't worry, My friend is a nice person. She is a high school student, and she specializes in breeding. She only started raising rabbits after returning to the village. She has only been raising rabbits for 2 years, and her family has a fortune of more than 100,000 yuan. Bai Jifang made up his mind to go see it with Zhang Lei. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 637. Chapter 637. There is no such heartless mother. That night, Zhang Lei and the others slept comfortably at Bai's house. Song Moding he had already called his brother-in-law and told him not to be so anxious and to be careful on the road. Since we are living in the Bai family now, with good food and drink provided, is it possible that something else will happen? I am here to hold the battle. Zhang Lei is very skilled. Song Moding it's true that they can't leave at once. The director of the Renmin Home Committee is hospitalized and it will take at least 2 days to get out of the hospital. Now there is no one to open a letter of introduction and it cannot be stamped with the official seal, so this letter of introduction is useless. They can only wait there to get the letter of introduction before rushing over. Zhang Lei then settled in Bai's house with his 3 little ones. Their work also called him to ask for leave. Anyway, he was considered the leader in the work unit and no one picked on him. Zhang Lei just remembered that Li Xiaoyun left in a hurry that day and left others at home without even saying hello. I feel a little sorry for this girl. It seems that after returning home, I have to go to the number 1 cigarette factory and find this girl to apologize to others. Li Xiaoying went to her house that day not to help her mother explain to her, otherwise they wouldn't be able to go to their house. Zhang Lei is climbing on the grape trellis in the yard to help several children cut grapes. This month, a few bunches of grapes on the grape trellis are actually ripe. So he cut it at the top, and the children cheered at the bottom. Every one of them chirped like a little sparrow. Qifen! Someone shouted outside the door. As soon as Qifen raised her head, Bai Yi also looked over instantly. Even though several years have passed, she still remembers this familiar voice. This is her mother's voice. The 4 eyes face each other. Obviously Feng Chun suddenly realized that the little girl with a bright smile was his daughter Bai Yi. Feng Chun hesitated and wanted to say something, but kept his mouth shut and held the child in his arms tightly. The 1-year-old girl was so painfully squeezed by her mother that she burst into tears. Mom, it hurts. Feng Chun hurriedly coaxed the little girl softly, Nanny, be good, it's your mother's fault. If you blow her, it won't hurt. Bai Yi's eyes dimmed. The gentle and warm soothing voice was once used to coax her, but now it belonged to another child. The moment her mother saw her, she didn't even call her name. Mother and daughter were clearly looking at each other across a wall, but neither of them called each other. It seems like there are thousands of mountains and rivers between them. My heart gradually became cold. Bai Yi didn't know that she was crying. Suddenly, someone held her hands tightly, and a chubby hand on one side held her hand tightly. Auntie, you and we and our parents all like you and love you. It doesn't matter whether other people like you or not, we are a family. What Tang Yuan wants to express is that they love Bai Yi. Bai Yi's eyes heated up. Yes. She has family. Zhang Xiaoxiao is her biological sister, and Song Moding is her biological brother-in-law. Tang Yuan, steamed buns, Mrs. Song, Mr. Song, and the uncles from the Zhang family are all their relatives. They love her selflessly. Never treated her as an outsider. Qifen's face turned cold as soon as she saw Feng Chun. Take off the apron and dust off your clothes. What are you here for? Didn't I tell you that you want a divorce and go find your man yourself? It's useless for you to find us. As soon as I saw Feng Chun, I remembered Bai Yi's suffering over the years. Don't think that you will feel comfortable in someone else's home. That's just living under someone else's roof. No matter how good your life is, can you still have the comfort of your own home? But she, a heartless mother, did not even think about taking the child back after she was released from prison, so she secretly gave birth to the child. What is it called to have a child before getting divorced? Quiffen didn't know about the crime of bigamy, but she also knew that it was definitely not allowed. Too immoral. Had it not been for Bai Yi who kept them silent, such people should report directly to the police station. Let this couple be arrested. Feng Chun looked embarrassed. Hold the child tightly, she knew she was shameless. But there is nothing I can do. A woman who has been released from prison cannot even find a job. I can't even support myself, let alone Bai Yi. Later I met Song Daekyang. What could she do as a weak woman? She couldn't survive without relying on a man. Brother and sister, I beg you, please help me open a letter of introduction in the village, I beg you, otherwise I won't be able to survive. Feng Chunzhen knelt down to beg Quiffen. No regard for dignity at all. The little girl in his arms started to cry sadly due to fright. For a moment, Quiffen was anxious and angry. When outsiders see them, their whole family will be criticized. What evil have you done? There is such a sister-in-law on the stall. Auntie, let her come in. Bai Yi opened her mouth. The voice was calm and did not seem to be spoken by an 8-year-old child. Quiffen sighed. It's still a mother-daughter connection. After all, it cannot be compared to family affection. Open the door, come in, don't cry. It's like we're bullying you. You don't mind being embarrassed, but we hate being embarrassed. Your conscience has been eaten by a dog. You haven't seen your daughter for several years, and you can't even ask when you come back. Haven't you asked this kid? Are you worthy of being a mother? Quiffen dragged the person in and closed the door. Feng Chun knelt down at Bai Yi's feet. Everyone was stunned. Tang Yuan swallowed. This woman is crazy. Yi, Mom is sorry. Mom is not a human being. Just forgive Mom. Mom knows that you live a good life with people in the city, but Mom has no ability to take you back. Mom, please, talk to your aunt and let Mom get a divorce. Mom can't leave your sister alone. How could she be so young and have no one to take care of her? Yi, Mom, please. Every mistake is my mother's fault. But your sister is right. Bai Yi felt cold. Yes, her mother's thoughts are all about the sister in her arms. What about yourself? She was less than 5 years old when she left her mother. She didn't need her mother's care? Get out of here, are you such a mother? Aren't you a sincere and shabby child, are you still a human being? Get out of here, get out. Quiffen was angry, forcing Bai Yi to plead for her. Children are too innocent. Bai Yi is only 8 years old. This is not a sincere attempt to bully a child. How sad this child must be. And, no, you can take her to the brigade headquarters to ask the village chief for a letter of introduction. Let her divorce my dad. People's hearts are not here, so why stay here and suffer? If she wants to take care of her children, then let's go. I will have no mother in the future, and, I beg you. Bai Yi pulled Quiffen's clothes corner and begged with a complicated expression. Everyone was shocked. Bai Yi actually begged her second aunt for the mother who abandoned her. Quiffen was heartbroken and hugged Bai Yi tightly. Okay, my poor child, aunt agrees, we will have no mother in the future, no such heartless mother. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 638. Chapter 638 The Dangers in the World. Feng Chun got the letter of introduction, and Bai Jifang opened the letter of introduction in the name of his eldest brother. With this letter of introduction, Feng Chun can get married. Feng Chun solemnly put the letter of introduction into his arms and glanced at Bai Yi with complicated emotions. Second brother, can I have a few words with Yi alone, I beg you? Bai Jifang swallowed the rebuke he was about to say. Yi, go. Allow this to be the last time the child sees his biological mother, and he may never see her again in this life. Let the child talk to her mother. Bai Yi silently followed Feng Chun to the door, and walked all the way to the entrance of the village. Feng Chun didn't know what he was thinking along the way, and he didn't say a word. At the stone bridge at the entrance of the village, the mother and daughter stopped. Feng Chun held Bai Yi's hand with mixed emotions. Yi, don't blame mom. Mom can't help it. Mom is just an ordinary woman. She has no ability to support you. You must listen to others in the future. At least you live in the city. I listen to you. The second aunt said that the family that feeds you is a good family. You don't have to worry about your mother, you have noble people to help you. But not your sister. Don't hate mom. Bai Yi silently took back her hand. My mind is blank. I don't hate you, just go away, I don't want to see you in the future. Feng Chun felt heartbroken, this child still hated her. The little girl in his arms touched Feng Chun's cheek. Mom, don't cry, be good. Feng Chun turned around and left with the child in his arms. Bai Yi's tears obscured everything, and she could no longer clearly see the leaving figure. Sister-in-law, auntie. Hearing Tang Yuan's concerned voice, Bai Yi wiped away her tears. Looking back, she saw Tang Yuan and Baizai standing hand in hand on the other side of the bridge, smiling at her. Bai Yi smiled and waved to them. Tang Yuan and Baizai immediately ran over and the three of them hugged each other. Zhang Lei stood far away, watching this scene. People really can't choose their parents. But even if they are not related by blood, they can still become relatives. That night before going to bed, Tang Yuan tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep. The steamed stuffed buns are upset when the glutinous rice are being tossed around. What's wrong with you? If you don't sleep, I'm going to beat you. Tang Yuan always sleeps very well, almost falling asleep on the bed. Can't sleep today, what else can this little guy have on his mind? Baizai despises glutinous rice balls. Tang Yuan got into Baizai's bed, and Baizai leaned to the side in disgust, it's very hot. Tang Yuan hugged Baizai's arm, brother, I saw something in Aunt Yi's mother's body today, something bad. Should I tell her? But I was very angry. She treated her like that. What's wrong with her? Such a cute and well-behaved child, she can actually do without her aunt. I can't imagine my mother treating me like that. I would be so heartbroken and hate her so much. Tang Yuan felt that she didn't understand how someone could not want their own children. Mother loved her most. He never thought that one day his mother would abandon him. Just thinking about it makes me feel uncomfortable and want to cry. Baizai patted Tang Yuan and hugged Tang Yuan's shoulders tightly like a little adult. How could mom not want you? She even wants me, a child who is not her biological child. This proves that mom is the kindest person in the world. How can that woman compare with mom? There is something bad in her body, it proves that she did something bad and deserves it. Baizai also felt angry. Before, he had no relatives or parents. He just passed from one trafficker to another, and from one adoptive parent to another. This kind of tossing and fro life makes it difficult for him to develop trust and affection for people. But Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding taught him how to love and how to trust others. How to integrate into a family and become a family with others. He cherishes his current life and his family very much. All the people in this family are so kind, so lovable, so sincere, and they never treat him any differently just because he is a complete stranger. It is exactly the same as glutinous rice for him. Baizai sometimes wakes up secretly laughing in the middle of the night. He feels that he probably did a lot of good things in his previous life. That's why God was kind to me, so that I could meet my parents and so many relatives. They gave themselves warmth and love. Stop yourself from going hungry, Stop learning to lie, deceive others, or even steal. Can enjoy the care of family members and live a happy life like other children. But seeing Baiyi's mother treat her like that today, Bayezid felt in his heart that the anger he had tried so hard to suppress was gradually rising. He felt that such a person was not worthy of being a mother. Just like his biological parents, why didn't they give birth to themselves? They gave birth to themselves but did not support their children, did not take care of their children, and made their children suffer so much. They were not worthy of being parents. Since this is the case, why tell her that the person is sick? Having been with Tang Yuan for a long time, he naturally knew what Tang Yuan meant when he said there were things in his body. It definitely meant that his body had extra things that other people should not have in their bodies. Following Zhang Xiaoxiao and Baiyi's influence, he naturally knew that when a person is sick, there will be more things in the body that do not belong to him. Those are bad cells and bad things. He told Tang Yuan like this because he didn't want Tang Yuan to tell Baiyi. That mother who doesn't cherish Baiyi and doesn't love her should care about her life and death. What he said was that the sinner deserved it, and he felt that it was the truth. It was because this person had done bad things and she did not want her own children, so God punished her and made her sick. Tang Yuan opened her innocent eyes. Brother, I feel relieved if you say that. I have always wondered if I didn't tell my aunt. Will he be sad when he finds out one day? If my mother gets sick and will die, I will be very sad. I am afraid that my aunt will be sad. Bayezid turned over irritably and said angrily. Why are you sad? Her mother treated her like this, isn't she sad enough? It's not worth it for someone like that to be sad for her. Tang Yuan didn't know why Bayezid was angry. Brother Bayezid, I just remembered what my mother once said, a son wants to be filial but refuses to be loved. I don't want my aunt to feel this way. This kind of regret should make people sad. Bayezid turned over and stared at Tang Yuan. Tang Yuan's eyes are clear and sincere. In his mind, the world is the most beautiful, without any pollution or sin. Bayezid was defeated. Mom and Dad are so good, and Tang Yuan is so well protected. Maybe I should continue to protect the innocence and beauty of Tang Yuan. Don't be like yourself and realize the dangers of the world since you were a child. No matter what, just do good things yourself. Okay, let's tell my aunt tomorrow and let her decide for herself. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 639. Chapter 639 Stay. Early the next morning, Song Moding and the others arrived. As soon as they got the letter of introduction, they hurriedly drove there. Qin Ming couldn't keep asking for leave. Song Moding and Jin Dachuan came together. This time they did not drive a car, but a station wagon. 3 children plus Zhang Lei, plus their 2 cars, it would be a bit crowded to sit in. If you drive a minibus, the children can sleep lying down in the back seat. Zhang Xiaoxiao wanted to follow him, but it was useless. How could Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lishi let her travel a long distance when she was still carrying 2 little ones in her belly? A pregnant woman is bumpy on the road. How can a couple feel at ease if something bad happens? Something happened to the child, and now he has finally been rescued. If Zhang Xiaoxiao keeps going back and forth, he will find something to do. That's so bad. Song Moding and Jin Dachuan brought a lot of food. Song Moding had already guessed that the situation at Uncle Baiyi's house would not be good. Although it is already 1981 and every household in rural areas has been guaranteed household income, the spring breeze of reform and opening up has not yet made people all over the land live a prosperous life. Needs time. Many rural people are still living a difficult life. One phone call a day, and they could tell from Zhang Lei's description that Baiyi, the second uncle's family, was living a very difficult life. When he got on the bus, Zhang Xiaoxiao asked him to bring 500 kilograms of white flour and 200 kilograms of rice. Anyway, there are a lot of these things in a small space, and it doesn't take much trouble. They have a car and can just pull them there. Of course, the origin of the rice and flour was definitely not mentioned. Everyone thought they were bought by the couple. After unloading the grain, Bai Jifang and his wife were extremely grateful. Xiao Song, this is impossible. It's impossible. How can you bring so much food? You guys are not having a good time in the city. The amount of food in those 2 books is limited. You bring so much for us. How can you bring so much food to us? How much will it cost? The couple Bai Jifang are honest people. Although I don't know how much it will cost, I can guess that with so many things, it will cost a lot of money and food stamps. The couple felt that they were going too far. The Song family did not give Bai Yi living expenses, so they raised their niece for nothing, and now they still want their things. No matter what, they are still people who want to show their face. It is a look of shame if you cannot do something shameless. Song Moding said with a smile, "Brother, we are all a family. Bai Yi is my biological sister. If we are based on seniority, I have to call you second uncle. If you are so polite to me, it is inappropriate." Bai Jifang was happy all of a sudden. Indeed, the generational hierarchy was now in chaos. Zhang Xiaoxiao recognized Bai Yi as his younger sister, and he himself became Song Moding's uncle in the chaos. Let's each do our own thing. You should call me brother. If you call me uncle, you won't make me old. I'm too embarrassed to call you nephew. Bai Jifang relaxed immediately. People in the city are very kind, no matter how helpful they are to their family. But they don't have the aloof attitude of giving alms at all. Instead, he is like a relative in an ordinary family. Okay, big brother, I'll call you big brother, I can't even call you uncle. Song Moding followed the local customs when he went to the countryside. Bai Jifang invited them to sit in the house and prepared to treat everyone to dinner. Song Moding smiled and told him that there was no need to prepare. The family is all anxious. They are all worried about the children, I think. I'd better take the children back quickly, otherwise the mother will be so anxious that she can't even sleep. The whole family has been worried these past few days. The old man and the old lady deceived them and said that the children would stay at grandma's house for a few days, but this day could not last long. What if one day the old lady really misses her great-grandson and runs to Fan Jiuying's house? This will reveal her secret. Song Moding glanced at Bai Yi. Yi, have you finished your work? If not, my brother-in-law can wait here for a few days, and we will go back after you finish your work. Bai Yi looked distracted. It was Qifen who pulled her, and Bai Yi woke up. Brother-in-law, don't wait for me. I still have something to do here. Otherwise, you should go back with the glutinous rice and steamed buns first. Otherwise, sister should be worried to death. I'm fine here. I'm protected by my uncle and aunt. I definitely can't go back until I finish my work in a few days. Bai Yi already knew that there was something abnormal in her mother's body, and none of them disbelieved Tang Yuan's words. Only their 3 children know the secret of glutinous rice best. The only 2 adults who knew about this were Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding. Apart from them, no one else knew that Tang Yuan had such extraordinary abilities. After all, Bai Yi couldn't be cruel and just leave her mother, so she thought about it for a long time before deciding to stay and see her mother. Even if she reminded her to go to the hospital for a checkup, it would be better than just standing by and watching her get worse day by day. Get up and be well. She had been treated as a doctor at Zhang Xiaoxiao Primary School and knew that any minor illness might become a serious illness if it was delayed. Although she was heartbroken that her mother abandoned her like this, she could not really abandon this family relationship after all. Song Moding glanced at Bai Jifang. Originally, the reason why the child came back this time was because his mother was released from prison. The child is still worried and wants to see her mother once, so you go back first. We will definitely send the child away when the time comes. Go back. We must not let her have any problems. Bai Jifang explained to Bai Yi, and the couple also made up their mind to send the child back in case they met another trafficker along the way. They feel guilty about being uncles and aunts for a lifetime. Song Moding was worried and left Bai Yi alone. She was afraid that something would really happen. Zhang Xiaoxiao valued Bai Yi so much. It's not like he doesn't know. Besides, after living together for so long, he really regards Bai Yi as his sister. Although I sometimes gnashed my teeth in hatred towards Bai Yi, I felt that this little guy was like a super light bulb. However, in their hearts, this child still occupies a very important position in their hearts, no less important than glutinous rice and steamed buns. How about we all stay here, and it will be a few days later. I happen to have a car. If Bai Yi goes to see her mother, I can drive her there, which is more convenient. Song Moding still couldn't let go. Bai Yi was a little anxious. Brother-in-law, my affairs have delayed everyone for so many days. You still have to go to school, and my sister also needs someone to take care of her. Tang Yuan and steamed buns can't stay here all the time. What if they are discovered by grandparents? It's amazing that they are all so old. If something happens to me in a hurry, I will feel very guilty. Don't worry, it's okay for me to stay here alone. With my uncle and aunt taking care of me, nothing will happen to me. Looking at Bai Yi's anxious look, Zhang Lei spoke. Brother-in-law, you should take the glutinous rice balls, Baizai, and the others back first. If you want to stay, I will stay. I am Bai Yi's brother. It is not natural for me to take care of her. In addition, I promised my second uncle to help my second uncle. Feed the woolly rabbits, and no one will tell me if I take a leave of absence from my job. Compared to you, you are in school and want to learn real knowledge. And you have to go back and take care of my sister. So just do as I say, you go, Yi and I stay, and I will take Yi back with me when we go back. Zhang Lei made the decision. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 640. Chapter 640 Past Events. Song Moting drove away with his two children and Jin Dachuan after Qian Dingji and Wan Enzong, leaving Zhang Lei and Bai Yi behind. Bai Jifang and Qifen felt really sorry that Zhang Lei, a city cotter, had given up his job just for the sake of their niece. For this reason, they both felt that they had no way to repay him. And people actually stayed here to raise woolly rabbits for them. What kind of thing is this? In order to make them rich, people stayed here to help them. The family simply felt that they had nothing to repay and wished they could be like cows and horses in order to repay their kindness. Bai Jifang really felt that following his niece and the rest of them would be a blessing. The family his niece met were really good people. Bai Jifang inquired about it and found out where Feng Chun was married. I heard that I married into the house of a butcher who sells pork in Hulu town. I heard that the meat seller's name was Li Guangming. Bai Jifang and Zhang Lei took Bai Yi to Hulu town, and after asking around, they finally found Li Guangming's home. A group of 3 people came to the door of this small courtyard and heard someone in the courtyard scolding them. Bride. Although Feng Chun'er has given birth to a daughter for you, you still have to be more careful with her. How can this second married woman not be selfish in her heart? She has been in prison. How can she be so cruel? I don't think it's a good thing to leave my daughter behind and follow you. You still have to be more discerning. Mom, can you please just stop talking about Feng Chun like that? I know who she is and she is a good person. Do you think she is cruel and just wants to abandon her daughter? There is nothing you can do about it. I heard that the daughter was raped by others. he was adopted by a family and sent to Kyoto. That family is a cotter's family. They have good food and good housing. It's better than following her. What can she do with her biological mother? Come back to our town and suffer with us. She is now devoted to living with me more than anything else. Please don't say these words to me here. The person who said it feels disgusted. Hearing this, Zhonglei felt that the husband Bai Yi, the biological mother, found was still a human being. It is a man to be able to say these words to defend his wife. At least he did not make any mistakes. You have really married a daughter-in-law and forgotten your mother. Who am I doing it for? It's not for you. If you care about her so much, then you can take the children back and raise them yourself. I'll see if she can be a stepmother. What a stepmother. Who am I doing this for? What a white-eyed wolf. As he said that, someone pushed the door open and saw the three of them blocking the door. They glared and left. A strong man chased out from behind, watching his mother walk away with a look of helplessness. Are you Li Guangming? Zhonglei spoke. Li Guangming looked at the three of them warily. When his eyes fell on Bai Yi, he was stunned, and then a look of understanding appeared in his eyes. You must be Bai Yi. You are Feng Chun's daughter. The main thing is that Bai Yi and Feng Chun look about 7 or 8 years apart, like mother and daughter, almost as if they were carved from the same mold. I am. Bai Yi mustered up the courage to answer. She didn't know what she was thinking. She insisted on seeing this mother. She might also subconsciously hope that Feng Chun could live a good life. Come in and sit down, Feng Chun. I went to buy groceries and will be back soon. Li Guangming greeted them into the courtyard. The yard is a bit messy. There are pots all over the floor, and there are some pigs in the pots. There is also a tricycle with a chopping board on it. There is some pork on the chopping board, but there is not much pork left. It seems that Li Guangming has just returned from the stall. You can do it in your house. This yard is so dirty that it's hard to get out. Li Guangming also knew that the family was really in a mess, and he couldn't help himself selling pork. He had to face these things every day. Fortunately, they are used to it, but when others enter their home, it is a bit unbearable, especially if they see water or something. They will probably feel sick and uncomfortable. 4 people entered the house, and Li Guangming poured them some boiled water. There's nothing to entertain you at home, so just drink some boiled water. Bai Yi looked around the house carefully. The house was a little better than her second uncle's house. It was neatly packed, the furniture was new, and there was a TV set on the table. It can be seen that Li Guangming's life is better than that of his second uncle's family. Facing Bai Yi's appraising eyes, Li Guangming, an adult, actually started to sweat a little nervously. Don't hate your mother. Your mother did that for your own good. What you don't know is that she has just been released from prison. She doesn't even have a place to stay. A woman sleeps on a bench at the train station with her things all day long. During the day pick up some rags and exchange them for some money. Li Guangming decided to talk about it. He knew that Feng Chun was sometimes reluctant to complain to others. But there are some things that the child must understand, not that she is a cruel mother. Bai Yi really didn't know this, but when she heard this, her eyes were a little moved. She really didn't know that her mother had suffered so much. She knew it would be difficult for her mother to come out. But I thought my mother would be able to go to the small courtyard where my grandfather lived. But why doesn't mother go back to the yard where grandpa lives? At least there's a place to stay. Seeing Bai Yi's doubts, Li Guangming sighed. Your mother went back to the yard where your grandfather lived, but that yard was sold long ago. Bai Yi glanced at her second uncle, and Bai Jifang was stunned. Impossible, how could that yard be sold? That yard is my eldest brother's name. No one has the right to sell that yard, not even me. Are the 2 of them in the village on weekdays? How can they have time to go to the city to see what's going on in the yard? I know you don't know that your father came back to sell the yard. Your mother has already asked the neighbors. Your father came back 3 years ago and knew that your grandparents passed away, so he sold the yard. He took the money and left again. Your mother didn't have a place to stay at that time, so she made do at the train station. Finally saved some money and rented a house. I know your mother because I sell meat in the vegetable market and your mother goes to the vegetable market to pick vegetable leaves. I saw your mother every day, a miserable woman, and I sympathized with her, so I introduced her to a job. I have a friend who owns a restaurant, and I asked your mother to work as a waiter in her restaurant. We got to know each other as soon as we went back and forth. Li Guangming also feels a little sad when talking about the past, although it only happened 2 years ago. However, when he thought of Feng Chun's miserable look at that time, he still felt guilty. End of this chapter.